Alright, if you have one of these, the keyword is if you have, the keyword is if you grinded 296 XL candy, Medicham XL is the best save switch in the Love Cup. So if you really grinded that hard, this is King of Charm Managers, I'm telling you, if you have an XL Medicham, you got a good one, it is really, really strong for the Love Cup, even though there's a lot of Charmers running around. So Medicham, as you see here, is a very powerful Pokemon. Very balanced stats across the board, but because it is a level 50, it can max out, which means you can get a level 50 Medicham. Because of the Hoenn event that came out recently, if you had enough time, you probably grinded enough candy to get an XL Medicham. Now, the thing about XL Medicham, what makes it powerful is, like I said, it has a versatile moveset, great move pool, and it has very few weaknesses. Well, there's one particular weakness, or should I say two, that you might see in the Love Cup. So fairies, obviously charms, and flying, which is basically wing attack Charizard. You're not going to see too many ghosts. There aren't a lot of pink ghosts, or I don't even recall a pink or red ghost in the Love Cup. However, you do resist fighting and rock. So you resist other fighters, and you resist rock types as well, which can be present in the Love Cup. Now, as I mentioned, it has an incredibly powerful moveset, as you see here. Counter, Dynamic Punch, Psychic, Power Punch, and Ice Punch. The moveset that is preferred for the Love Cup is Counter, Psychic, and Power Punch. You can literally ramp up with Power Punch, and then Psychic allows you to take out a lot of things at range. So Medicham is a monster, and like I said, is the best save switch in the Love Cup if you have enough XL candy to power one up. Alright, here's the Love Cup rankings. As you see, I don't even need to scroll down. It is right in front of your face. Behold, the most powerful save switch and literally the bane of, like, your existence if you face one. Medicham, extra large, 296 XL candy equals beast. It's strong in all positions, mostly as a switch, because what it can do is it can ramp up attack with Power Punch, or you can Psychic things down. So it can help you take switch, and it's very, very bulky. In fact, this thing actually beats Alola, which is the bulkiest one other than that. And the only reason so is because you literally straight pup it to death. You like puppies? Well, guess what? You know what? You're just gonna have to pup the big fish to death. Fish don't like dog, and fish gets punched down. As you see here, big punchies. Big punch buggy. In the 2 shield, you literally punch down a Alola. Just punch, 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 punch. Because of that ramp up with Power Punch, it is very, very powerful and incredibly strong in the Love Cup. As you see in the lead, Medicham is number 8, so it's still even really good as a lead. If you decide to run it as a lead to avoid all the Charmers, guess what? As long as you can keep it away from said Charmers, you're doing pretty dang well. And you can do some damage. As you see, you beat Alomomola, Scrafty, Electrode, Vileplume XL, and then Lickitung XL. So this is the XL that beats the strongest XL, which is the Lickitung XL. So, or not really Lickitung is the strongest XL, but the other XL that beats the other high XL. In the closer, Medicham ranks at number 15, so it's actually able to take out Electric types, Magmortar, Porygon, and Scrafty. Now, you will lose against Alomomola in the closer just because since Medicham doesn't have any shields, you can get it literally pumps you to death, so you're gonna get pumped to death. Hydro Pump will kill you. You lose against Charizard, Blaziken, Lickitung, and Wigglytuff, of course, because Charmers will wreck fighters. As a switch, it's number 1. As you see here, it's able to take out Alomomola, Charizard, Scrafty, Electrode, Vileplume, and because, like, it's just the number 1 switch, even if you don't, like, even if you do get a Clefable or a Wigglytuff, you could still deal a decent chunk of damage before you go down. As you see here, you fight Wigglytuff. If you have the 2 shields, well, you actually die really fast, but as you see here, you can do a decent chunk of damage before you go down. I wouldn't recommend you stay in here, but, you know, if you land a Psychic, so if you land a Psychic, as you see here, you can deal a decent amount of damage before you go down. So, there are ways that if you could deal a Psychic, and then you could put, yeah, there's a lot of plays you could do to, like, take back switch. In general, you don't want to be locked into a Charmer, though. If you lose lead, that's why you kind of want to run Medicham as a lead, in my opinion. But it's not a bad idea to run in the back. And like I said, as a safe switch, it's still very, very effective. Because if you land that Psychic, you can deal a ton of damage. Alright, here's the peatbook.com matrix. As I always say, please consider donating to peatbook.com. I have Medicham XL here. I also put the regular one at level 41, just in case you are curious if you want to use it. I wouldn't. If you don't have an XL Medicham, I would just use something else or try to replace it. So just use just use a Charmer or something like that, because it's really not worth using the other one. I put both just for science. As you see, you want Power Pump. There's no reason for you to really use Ice Punch or Dynamic Punch. You're either going to rev up with Power Up Punch, or you're going to try to nuke with Psychic, because with Psychic, you could take out Shadow Razor Leafers, and with Psychic, you do neutral damage against Clefable. And you get stabbed too, so, like, you get same type attack bonus, so. As you have the 2 shields, we're going to run meta, we're going to run the sim, and as you see here, you beat a ton of things in a 2 shield. So, even in a 2 shield, Medicham is still very strong. As you see here, you have bad matchups against Charizard, however, 400 isn't a bad rating. Yes, you're going to lose, however, you're going to leave with some chip damage, so then you can possibly do a farm down strat or something of that sort, as you see here. As you see, you're going to pop away, and as you see, Charizard, you'll break both shields if they don't choose to not shield, or you can bait both shields, and as you see, 22 HP. Now, you can nuke with Psychic, but as you see, it's kind of rough, so just try to play out Charizard as best as you can. Against Charmer, the worst thing is probably against Charmers, you will simultaneously knock out with Slowbro, just because with Slowbro, the issue with Slowbro is that it resists your counters, so it basically walls you, but you still do a simultaneous knockout with Slowbro, which is freaking hilarious. As you see here in the mirror, the Perfect will basically beat the XL version just because you win CMP. So if you have a Perfect one, the only real matchup you flip notably is this one, where the mirror. As you see, the 2 shield doesn't have much of a difference. However, you will lose against Shadow Vileplume and Wigglytuff, unless you can land a Psychic against Shadow Vileplume. So this is where it gets a little dangerous. If they are running a Charmer in the back and they throw a Charmer into you, you gotta hit a Psychic on the Clefable or Wigglytuff and see how much damage you can do. Do as much damage as you can. When shields go down, things get a little better. But yeah, it's still very good as a switch, because like I said, you could punch things down and do enough damage and then try to set up a farm down strat or something of that sort. In the 1 shield, this is where XL gets, this is where you'll see the difference between XL. With a level 50, you still want to flip the Charizard or the Charmer matchup. However, what you do flip is you can flip the Sunny Shore matchup. You also beat Lickitung XL, which isn't really a viable matchup, but yeah. In the 1 shield, you will also beat Shadow Vileplume. I don't know if you could just go straight Psychic, though. We'll take a look. As you see here, you pop in your Psychic. I think it is bait dependent, because as you see here, you can't just go straight Psychic, because you just get shredded down by Shadow Lazy. So if you can land a Psychic on a Shadow Vileplume in 1 shield, you win this matchup. You still lose against Charmers, and Slowbro actually beats you convincingly, because, you know, it's gonna Ice Beam you. It's basically just gonna Ice Beam you to death, as you see here. In the zeros, it gets a little dicey. As you see in the zeros, this is where you see the difference between the level 40 and 50. As you see here, level 40 will lose to a lot of matchups. Level 50 will be you'll be able to beat Charizard if it's Fire Spin with Psychic. You can also beat Sunny Churum and Lickitung XL. You still won't beat any of the Charmers. In order for you to beat you get close with Wigglytuff, but it's still very, very close. So you're gonna have to rely on chip damage, or you're gonna have to take out Charmer with something else. Again, that's why it's not a bad idea to run Medicham in the lead, because if you get a Charmer or a negative lead, you could switch out. However, it's not that bad to run a closer either, because, like I said, it's the #1 safe switch. If you could switch in, you could still deal a decent amount of damage compared to a lot of other switches. You beat Scrafty, you also beat Crustle, Electrode, and Lickitung XL, as you see here. You'll lose against Alola, unfortunately, just because it's so thick, if you're in the closer. However, you do beat Alola in the 2 shield and a 1 shield. It's just the zeros, because guess what happens? You get pumped to death. Now, with shield advantage, XL Medicham is pretty dope. As you see here, with shield advantage, you beat everything but Charmers. Literally, just 1 to 0s, you beat everything but Charmers. In a 2 to 0s, you still don't beat Charmers, but hey, you know what? You still beat the rest of the meta. And in 2 to 1s, things do flip a little bit. Actually, in the 2 to 1s, you flip everything but the Wigglytuff matchup. As you see, in the 2 to 1s, you can actually take out Shadow Vileplume. This one's a bait dependent matchup, though, unfortunately, because if you're in the 1 shield against Shadow Vileplume, you have to land Psychic. You don't have a choice, unless you have enough energy to land 2 Psychics. That's just with Shadow Vileplume. So as you see, very, very powerful. Medicham is very, very strong in this meta. Takes out a lot of things, especially with shield, in the zeros or with shield advantage, and allows you to rev up with Power Up Punch. It's very, very strong. As you saw in a lot of the Sims, you do a lot of damage in even shield scenarios. You can beat a lot of things. You have to avoid Charmers though. That's the big thing with Medicham. You have to avoid Charmers. If you don't avoid Charmers, it's very dangerous. And you basically just avoid things that resist you, Charizard, Slowbro, and Charmers, and you'll do fine. But as you see here, Medicham XL is still very powerful. You have to keep it away from Charmers though, because as you see here, you kind of have to. You can let it go in the Charizard matchup, but like against Charmers, you don't have a great matchup. So if I had to give Medicham XL a rating, I'd probably give it an 8 out of 10. Now that seems kind of weird, especially since it is the best safe switch. However, the thing about this, here's why. Yeah, here's why. So the thing about Medicham XL, yes, you have a chance. It's just the Charmers, because Love Cup is going to be dominated by Charmers so much. Yes, if you get a Charmer switched into you, it's a really rough day. As you see, it could literally just, if it's Clefable, it's literally just gonna charm you down. You could try and go for the Psychic in the zeros, so assuming that you're in the zeros, and you try to go for Psychic, you can't KO it. As you see, Psychic only does half damage against Clefable, which is justification enough for you to, yeah, it's basically justification enough for you not to use fighters. It is the strongest safe switch. As you see, if you're able to, you can finesse your way out of it. So if there is a way you can avoid Charmers, then it can do perfectly fine. But as you see, there's not a lot of scenarios other than Wigglytuff where you can actually like take it down, unless you have some sort of energy lead. So let's say you have some energy, then Medicham XL can win if you can land 2 Psychics. As you see here, if you farm something down, you could take it out. So, assuming that you farm down, let's say you farm down a Scrafty, you can land 2 Psychics to take out Charmers. This is a really rough scenario, so I wouldn't count on this, but if you're able to land it, then that's great. But that's just basically the huge issue. Medicham XL is very powerful. It does do extremely well against a lot of the meta in all positions. The only issue is just basically Charizard and Charmers. Charizard, you have play, you can create plays out of it. However, with Charmers running around rampant, it's very mean. As you see here, oh wait, no, that's a moveset right here. But that's basically it. Medicham overall does very, very well. As long as you could avoid Charmers, it has play against a lot of the meta. As you see here, you can beat Charizard, etc. if you are able to land a Psychic, or you could let it go and do some plays. So, as you see, 83% in the 2 shield. Very powerful. Over 80% in the 2 shield, beats a lot of matchups. The 1 shield, 80%, and in the zeros, it's, as you see, it's just so strong. In all scenarios, it's almost either 75% above in all scenarios. If you give Medicham shield advantage, as you see here, it goes all the way up to 97. And basically, the only thing that can beat Medicham with 2 shield, with a shield advantage, as you see in the 1, well, this is the 1-0. So in the 1-0s, as you see, Medicham only loses to Clefable and Wigglytuff. That's how strong it is. Minus the Charmers, you're able to have a lot of play against a lot of other things. That's just the issue. With Charmers are going to be popular. That's a thing. So, because Wigglytuff and Clefable are so easily obtained, a lot of players already have one already. And yes, you can use Medicham as a safe switch. The only concern is if they are running a Charmer in the back, and they switch their Charmer into you. So, that's the only issue. So, because Charmers are going to be so prevalent, I have to give a low rating. However, Medicham does really well against the rest of the meta. Literally only having to really watch out for Charmers, which is just so... I know it's super annoying, but there's like nothing you can really do about it. Charmers will run this meta, and even though Medicham is statistically, in my opinion, it is the best safe switch outside of encountering a Charmer. So, if you lose switch, and you get locked into a Charmer, it sucks. It's going to suck a lot, no matter what energy advantage you have. So if you're going to run Medicham XL, I definitely would run it as a... I would run it in the back, but however, I would definitely, like, try to... I would definitely be very careful about running it. Even though it is the best, like, safe switch, I would, like, be careful of running it in the back. Because, like I said, just Charmers. If they're running double Charm and you lose the lead and you have nothing that takes out Charmers, then you're probably dead. What you can do is run Medicham XL and then have 2 counters to Charmers. So have a Poison type, have have some poison typing or have Charizard in the lead, something like that. That way you could take out the Charmers, and you could possibly use Medicham XL to set up KO shots or something of that sort with Psychic. If you guys like this video, please like and subscribe. Again, Medicham XL is still very powerful outside of like getting locked into a Charmer. Good luck on your Go Battle League sets, and I will see you guys in the next video.